Look at this image. Stone-carved pharaoh. Broad shoulders. False beard. Warrior's stance. Foot on the neck of an enemy. Every inch of it screams power, dominance, divine right. Every Egyptologist on earth will tell you the same thing. That is a woman. Not a metaphor. Not a myth. A real, breathing human woman. She looked at the most rigid power structure in the ancient world. A system built over centuries to keep women exactly one step behind the throne. And she said, "No, I'll be king now." And it worked. For 20 full years, she ruled one of the most powerful civilizations on earth. She built more monuments than almost any ruler in Egyptian history. She launched the greatest trade mission the ancient world had ever seen. And then, decades after her death, someone spent years methodically chiseling her face off every single one of those monuments. This is Hatshepsut. And this is why erasing her was the biggest mistake he ever made. But to understand what she pulled off, you first need to understand the world she was born into, a world with absolutely no room for what she was about to do. Ancient Egypt did not do ambiguity. The pharaoh wasn't just a king. The pharaoh was a living god, Horus incarnate. And Horus was always, without exception, male. This wasn't cultural preference. It was cosmology. The entire universe ran on this idea. You didn't question it any more than you questioned the Nile. Hatshepsut was born into this world around the 57 BC. Daughter of Thutmose I, a powerful, respected pharaoh, she grew up watching power up close. Then she was married off to her half-brother Thutmose II, which was completely normal for Egyptian royalty and deeply weird by any other standard. Her job, produce a male heir, stay in the background. She had a daughter instead. Thutmose II fathered a son, but with a lesser wife. Then Thutmose II died young, probably in his early 30s. The throne passed to that infant boy Thutmose III, and Hatshepsut, the most powerful woman in Egypt, was appointed his regent. A babysitter for a toddler king. So how does a royal babysitter go from holding a child's hand to wearing his crown? The answer involves one of the boldest power moves in the ancient world. And it happened in broad daylight. No assassinations, no midnight palace takeovers. What Hatshepsut did was far more unsettling. She just gradually rewrote reality. Over roughly 2 years, she began appearing in official art alongside Thutmose III. Then slightly larger. Then wearing the double crown. A slow escalation across dozens of monuments and reliefs, each step daring someone to object. Nobody did. Then came the false beard. That carved stone beard every pharaoh wears in statues and reliefs. Here's what most people get wrong. It wasn't disguise. Every Egyptian who looked at those carvings knew Hatshepsut was a woman. This wasn't a secret. The false beard wasn't a lie. It was a statement. She wasn't pretending to be a man. She was insisting that pharaoh was a role that fit her. Biology be damned. The beard wasn't costume. It was grammar. She was speaking the visual language of Egyptian power and saying, "This word applies to me now. Deal with it." By around 1473 BC, she had declared herself full pharaoh, co-ruler with Thutmose III, but let's be clear about the hierarchy. She was wearing the crowns. Her name was in the cartouche. He was, for the next 20 years, the junior partner. But dressing the part is one thing. To make it stick, she needed the two groups who could destroy her in a week: the priests and the army. Here's how she bought them both, starting with the priests, and one of the most audacious PR moves in recorded history. Egyptian religion ran on legitimacy, and legitimacy ran on divine favor. So Hatshepsut commissioned a creation story. At her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, she had artists carve a scene into the stone walls, the god Amun himself visiting her mother, making Hatshepsut the literal daughter of a god. She didn't just claim divine right, she published it in stone. The priests of Amun were already the wealthiest, most powerful religious institution in Egypt. And suddenly, their god was her father. Every temple donation, every religious ceremony now reflected glory directly back on Hatshepsut. She didn't buy the priesthood. She gave them a story where backing her was the only theologically correct option. Then there's the army question. The assumption is she sat on a throne doing paperwork while generals handled the dangerous stuff. The evidence says otherwise. Early in her reign, records confirm military campaigns in Nubia and the Levant. She wasn't Egypt's great warrior pharaoh, but the soldiers knew she could look at a battlefield without flinching. But war wasn't her masterpiece. Trade was. And what she pulled off next would have made modern CEOs take notes. A voyage so ambitious, it was basically the ancient world's moon landing. Around 1470 BC, she sent 5 massive ships south into the Red Sea toward a place Egyptians called Punt. Punt was probably modern-day Eritrea or Somalia, a land so distant and mysterious it had faded into legend. She sent them anyway. The ships came back loaded, living mer-trees with roots packed in baskets, ebony, raw ivory, gold, exotic animals. The mer-trees alone were extraordinary. She planted them at Deir el-Bahari, the first recorded transplanting of foreign trees into Egyptian soil. She was so proud of this expedition, she had every detail carved into the walls of her mortuary temple. The ships, the crew, the goods, the foreign dignitaries. Full color, floor to ceiling. It's the most complete record of any ancient trade mission ever found. She didn't just do it. She made sure you knew she did it. She had priests, soldiers, gold, and glory. She could have spent her reign on military conquest. That's what the history books reward. She chose trade instead because she understood something most conquerors never figure out: wealth outlasts war. Territories you conquer have to be held. Trade routes you open keep paying you forever. Her reign was, by any measurable standard, a success, which makes what happened next even more disturbing. Hatshepsut died around 1458 BC, probably in her 40s, possibly from bone cancer. Her mummy shows evidence of it. The boy she'd sidelined for 20 years, Thutmose III, finally took sole control of Egypt. Thutmose III was formidable. Military genius. 17 successful campaigns. Historians call him the Napoleon of Egypt. He didn't need to be bitter. He was one of the greatest pharaohs who ever lived. And yet, roughly 20 years into his solo reign, workers began appearing at Hatshepsut's monuments. Chisels in hand, her face came off temple walls across Egypt. Her statues were smashed, dragged out, and buried in pits near Deir el-Bahari. Her name carved over with the names of Thutmose III, Thutmose II, or Thutmose III himself. This wasn't vandalism. This was a project planned, funded, staffed, and executed across dozens of sites over years. The person with both the motive and the authority to order it was Thutmose III. Historians have debated for over a century why he tried to erase her. 3 main theories. First, pure personal vengeance. 20 years watching someone else wear your crown. That kind of wound festers. Maybe he just wanted her gone. Second theory, political precedent. By erasing Hatshepsut, you erase the proof that a woman could rule Egypt. No precedent means no template for the next ambitious regent to follow. Third theory, and this one is cold. He was doing accounting, tidying up a dynasty. By removing her name from the official king list, Thutmose III made the succession flow cleanly. Thutmose I to Thutmose II to Thutmose III. No gap. No woman-shaped anomaly. No awkward 20-year interruption. He wasn't attacking her, he was correcting a spreadsheet. The mundanity of it is the most disturbing part. But here's the detail that reframes everything. He waited 20 years. That's not rage. Rage acts immediately. 20 years of calculation means he was watching how people remembered her, watching whether her reign was becoming a symbol. He didn't erase her out of hate. He erased her because she was still dangerous as an idea, even dead. And here is where it collapses completely for him. Her temple still stands. Archaeologists found those buried statue pieces, hundreds of them, and reassembled her face from the fragments. In 2007, her mummy was positively identified using a single loose tooth. She survived everything. Despite the chisels and the pits and the careful erasure, Hatshepsut made it to us. Those statues he ordered smashed and buried in sealed pits, sealing them saved them. If they'd been left standing, 35 centuries of desert wind and sand would have worn them to smooth, featureless stumps. By burying them, he accidentally created one of the greatest preservation vaults in archaeological history. His act of erasure became the single greatest act of preservation in Egyptian history. Hatshepsut's face survived because her enemy tried to destroy it. Whatever he was afraid of, whatever symbol he was trying to bury, it's standing in the Metropolitan Museum of Art right now, looking back at you, that Moses III spent years and enormous resources making sure you would never know her name. He almost pulled it off. She vanished from Egyptian history for over 3,000 years, completely unknown until the 19th century. When archaeologists found too many carved-over names, too many empty cartouches, too many suspicious gaps in the record, go back to that opening image. Stone pharaoh. Broad shoulders. False beard. Warrior's stance. You spent the last 10 minutes with her now. So when you look at it, do you see a woman pretending to be a man? Or do you see someone who simply refused to let other people's categories be the ceiling of her life?